Hello, good evening, and welcome to PM Express. My name is Nana Ansakwa. Freedom and justice is what the coat of arms of our beloved country says. At the former, well, some may say we have not done too badly. With the average Ghanaian largely free to vote, trade, learn, and associate with groups, the latter, part of the national motto, however, leaves much to be desired. This is according to the Commonwealth and Human Rights Initiative, CHRI. The poor and the vulnerable that need institutional protection have not got it, and often their rights are literally trampled upon. The courts are antiquated, poorly resourced, and distributed. Analysts have long touted Ghana for being an ideal democratic progressive nation on paper, and in the same breath denounce her for being unable to implement her ideas. Tonight on PM Express, I have a representative from the Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative and another from the Commission of Human Rights and Justice who will join us later. So, but in the studios with me, to my extreme left, is Derek Opoku Eduhene, who's a project officer of CHRI. Derek, welcome.
Thank you.
And then to my immediate left is Mina Mensah. She's the regional coordinator of CHIR, which is the Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative. And for viewers who are watching, if you want to join in the conversation, you can send your text message to short code 1760. Or those of you who've got Facebook, it's facebook.com/Joy News on TV. You may also follow us live on Twitter, and the Twitter handle is Joy News on TV. If you have your phone near you, you can join in the discussion. And we are looking at literally the human rights of the average Ghanaian. I will start with Mina. Mina, somebody watching will say, what is CHRI and where do you operate from?
Thank you very much, Nana. Good evening to viewers. The Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative is an international non-governmental organization headquartered in India. We have an office in London, UK, and the Africa office is situated in Accra, Ghana. And our mandate is to ensure the practical realization of human rights in countries of the Commonwealth. So basically, that's what we do. But we have three focal areas because human rights are extremely broad. Mm-hmm. And so we normally concentrate on access to justice. And the access to justice, we have two thematic areas, or should I say three. We have police reform, prisons reform, and pretrial detentions, which we in Ghana call justice centers. We also work on access to information. And so we are the secretariat for the Coalition on the Right to Information Ghana. And then we also work on general human rights monitoring, what we call strategic initiative programs. That is human rights that interest us or which we think as part of the things that we want to do. We strategically tap into that and then we respond to need in that area. So basically that's what CHRI is all about.
Derek, even though, CHRI has limited, human rights to these three areas that Mina's talking about, we sort of fall short in all those areas that I can imagine how much workload that you guys have, because you are a project officer, so you are out there on the field. Let me know how much work you have to do.
Okay, thank you, and good evening to your viewers. A lot of work, I must say. A lot of work. You go to the police stations and sometimes, you want to come back to the office. But then the work on the ground is such that you need to make sure you do it before you get back to the office. So, for instance, you think that, okay, I want to go there, I'm thinking of doing this and that and talking to this person, talking to that person. But you find out that the volume of work at the ground is not that easy. and then it entails a lot, and you need to give up your best.
Nina, what do we tend to find out? I mean, in my synopsis, I said that, freedom, as far as freedom is concerned, I think we have even enough freedom to abuse justice. That's how much freedom we have, to literally impugn justice in the face. And what we also realize that the deeper your pocket, the more justice you get. Mm-hmm. And the shallower your pocket, that's how much shallow your justice is. Hasn't it gone too far down that it's so entrenched that there's probably no way out now?
The problem is huge. Mm-hmm. Because in our part of the world, it's not only about poverty or how deep your pocket is, it's also about what people know. Because there are people who are educated, literate, but do not even know their rights. They can read and write all right, but do they know what their rights entail? So yes, the problem is very, very huge. Even for those who can pay, when it comes to accessing justice, you need somebody who can take you through the cumbersome legal processes, and that's a lawyer. How many lawyers do we have in this country? According to the General Legal Council, their records, I think we don't have more than 4,500 lawyers in this country. And out of that number, about maybe 2,000 plus are practicing. And most of those are in Accra. So you can imagine the dearth of lawyers in this country. So the problem is huge, but we need to start from somewhere. So we can't fold our arms or throw our hands in the air and say that, listen, the problem is so bad, so there's nothing we can do about it. Little drops of water make a mighty ocean. So yes, it is true, if you have money, you can get access to justice, but even that's how much access can you get?
Derek, with legal rights, so there are people who are even literate but aren't even aware of their rights. Being on the field, how do you think we can get people to be aware of their rights? When I get stopped by the police, when I go to the police station, or if I buy some goods and I need to return, whatever, how can we get this education out there to people?
I think the best thing for us to do, or the simplest thing for to be done, is through education. Okay, we could use the media as one, and if the media, I mean, we could use the print media. We could also use the other forms of media to put the message across. Okay. But I think the electronic media and the print, the electronic media goes a long way to help out. But the print media, how many people are willing to read? If you compare the number of literates to that of illiterates in the country, you'll find out that more people do not even read. So once you don't read, you might not know what the Constitution itself says. And then I think NCC should be doing more of such education, educating people on their rights.
I mean, Derek, you're saying we could. I mean, this is 2013. So, I mean, when are we going to if I may say? I mean, we should have been, somewhere now, failed that agency now. I mean, we could. It's a bit too late in the day for the nation to say we could.
I don't think so. I think with constant education, it's just a reminder to the people. You see, when you constantly hit on something, it sinks into the minds of the people. So through constant education, the people will get the message and they will be informed as to what they ought to do and what they ought to know.
Mina, if you look at the enthusiasm or the backing that the nation gives to, say, something like SHRAJ, how underfunded SHRAJ is, it tells you how much we place our priorities. I mean, if we are eager to resource these institutions, because it's like, don't enlighten them, because then they're going to know and they're going to come after us. I mean, that's...
This is Nana in his element.
keep them in the dark, because once they know, they're going to come in, they'll come against us. Because the same people who can resource these people, they have the pen to sign it. And if they sign it, they will be at fault. So if I was there, I wouldn't sign it. I'll keep the status quo.
Seriously, I'm laughing, but seriously, you've made a very interesting point. Information is power. And the powerful would want to remain powerful. Unfortunately, in that part of the world, it is not only, most of the time we look only at government institutions. But I'm sitting in a media house. Radio gets results. It's one of the way multimedia is one of, especially Joy FM. That's one of your tunes. Take Joy FM for instance. How much education do you do on the rights of arrested person or access to justice generally? How much time do you allocate to such things? Yes, I'm sure every radio station does some social responsibility programs. But you look around and ask yourself, how much time do we allocate to such programs? So obviously, as much as we are looking at the institutions that have been mandated to do the work, they can't do it all. And these days, electronic media goes far. You go to some remote village somewhere and it will amaze you that somebody's listening to radio in a small... Yes.
That's true.
So, yes, with batteries and they're listening. So I think that NCC is poorly resourced. Yes, when you look at our priorities, the institutions that are supposed to empower the people, we don't give it much resources. I'll take two institutions. If you look at the Attorney General's Department and you look at the legal aid scheme, those are two departments under the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice. One is better resourced than the other. Definitely the Ages Department is far, 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 about 3, 4, 5 times. I stand to be corrected, but I can stick my neck out and say that it's about 4 or 5 times more resourced than the legal aid scheme that is supposed to help the poor. So obviously, when it comes to things that would empower the common man, as someone will say,
we are not too enthusiastic.
We are not too enthusiastic. It's the nature of the society. We will spend our money doing other things than resourcing agencies that will really give power to those down there to also come up to a certain level. So that is what we have. They will tell you that the national cake, there are so many people, so many things that you need to do with the national cake. But I think it's just about our priorities.
Mina, I'll stay with you. Have we been hungry, we down the ladder, have we been hungry for the information? Have we demanded that law? I think you need to resource our side of the institutions too, so that we can also have this cake, if it ever exists, so we can also have some to eat.
I don't think we've been that hungry. And it all boils down to ignorance. People are satisfied with their lot because they don't know. Like I said, information is power. If people know that if I have this information, this is the benefit that I'll get from it, obviously the person will be hungry for it. But here is the case, everybody will be like, I have problems of my own. I need to put food on the table. And you're talking to me about rights. Now rights, I tell you, animal meat. Rights in tell you, animal meat. Forgetting that if you know your rights, it can enhance your life. And tell you, animal only. But it will give you the power to get something that could better your lot. So it's our whole psyche and the way we've been brought up. We've been brought up to sit back and allow things to go the way they are going. Country grow, no grow, all I day inside. So if you are the kind of person that would push for things, you are either labeled as too known or aggressive. And that's the kind of society that... So, no, I don't think that people
have been hungry enough.
Yeah, but I think it's a question of ignorance as well.
I mean, Derek, would you think probably, starting the Constitution from class 1, just break it down to simple English, and then as you go through the ranks, the big English comes in. so that by the time a child comes through probably SSS, you're well abreast with what the rules of the country is and stuff. Might help, if we start, if I say, indoctrinating them with the constitution or the laws of the nation. Would it help? I mean, with your moving around, you probably deal with taxi drivers, you deal with tow truck drivers, probably hawkers on the side of the road. If they had this opportunity, and it was compulsory, would it help?
Yeah, I'm sure it will help. I remember somewhere in Western region, we did have this workshop, okay, and then it was interactive. It's a form of interactive. We had the police officers who were there to tell their stories on their own, and we had these CBOs and then faith-based organizations who came around. So it was like we're going to empower, train them so that they go back in their communities and then do the education. And then it has yielded a lot of results. Because sometimes you send people to go there or you call them on phone and then they tell you interesting things that is happening on the ground. For instance, you meet someone and the person doesn't even know that bail is free. Okay? So he goes to the police station to stand as surety for somebody or for a suspect, and he wants to pay money to the police officer. But the constitution says that bail is free. Once you meet the necessary conditions, bail is free. So you see, it's all about the fact that as the children grow, in schools, there should be some sort of human rights education. They should be oriented to their human rights so they will know what their rights are and what they should do to demand for their rights.
Mina, you know something? All throughout the world, I mean, anytime they say, it's about life and death, then you know that it's like the optimum. Anytime they say something about life and death, it's as if that's all, that's all your existence is about. You protect life at all cost. And I remember writing a script and I'm saying that in the Western world, even if they're going to inject poison into a criminal, they sterilize the syringe before they inject the poison to kill him. That's how much they will protect life up to. How come we have drifted so far away that life, human life does not mean anything to us? I mean, why have we drifted so far away?
Is it that we have drifted, or that's the way we've been living our lives? Because if you say we've drifted, it means that we were doing something and then we have left what
I'm sure our forefathers valued life, even though I wasn't there with them.
So if you say we've drifted, honestly...
Okay, let me define my point. You see, once upon a time we protected rivers, we protected trees, all because of human existence. But we don't do that now. So maybe once upon a time we did. So I stick to the fact that we still have drifted. We still have drifted and got into this era where you see how people drive. There are passengers in the car. He's hurtling down the road, and it's like you dare not mention it because otherwise get out of the car. So then you sit in the car and truly, he'll go and kill half of them, injure the other half, and go scot-free. Why don't we put value on human life anymore?
I think that it is not that we don't put value on human life. It's more like institutions are not working. So people get away with things. Impunity is reigning. Because if people do things and then out of that consequence they get punished. Or, for example, if somebody drives recklessly and is asked to pay huge compensation, and then the person can't afford and goes to jail, and it's not just him, but whoever owns the car is also made to pay some huge compensation, maybe things will change. But if, from what I know, if, for example, a driver kills somebody or there's an accident, yes, some level of investigations are conducted. The driver might end up being sanctioned. But I haven't heard of car owners being sanctioned. So at the end of the day, there's not much motivation
to stay in the clear and narrow.
Yes, to stay in the clear.
Thank you very much. So we're now talking about consequences. We're going to go for a quick break, but before we do, let me remind you that Reggie Manuel Estates, with over 20 years of unbeatable records, has 2 to 3 bedroom houses with expansion possibilities set within gated communities with superb infrastructure, 24/7 security, street light, landscape areas. These are fantastic houses that you need to call them and see. Experience the new phase of urban living in the Balloon Gate apartment, Kwabenya, where Reggie Manuel Gray has brought to bear the expertise on unparalleled hallmarks in designing 2-bedroom apartments with 2 bathrooms. For more information on these houses, call 0222-9916 or 020-222-9918 for a guided tour and get your allocation now. Reggie Manuel Gray, express your value. We'll go for a break, and when we come back, we are talking human rights. Hello, welcome back to PM Express. We are talking human rights, and with me in the studio is Mina and Derek. I beg your pardon. We're talking about human rights and how people sometimes are not even aware of their own rights. Just before we went to the break, Mina was talking about there isn't any consequences. So people who even flout the laws have got no inclination to stay in the clear and narrow. But we're going to move from there, and what we're going to look at about is the police, because apparently sometimes they are the worst. Some of them are the worst offenders. The very people who are supposed to uphold and defend property and people, they sometimes flout it with impunity. Derek, now you go to police stations every day. So you'll be able, I'm sure you have a story or two, because the police sometimes are worst human rights offenders.
I wouldn't say they are worst human rights offenders.
They're just part of it.
You know, it's the way the system is, okay? Sometimes they do abuse human rights, for sure. For instance, it has got to do with the 48-hour rule. You know, the law says that when you are arrested within 48 hours, either you can be granted bail or sent to court for the court to properly remand you. But then often at times, like you go there, you ask the police officer. I interviewed the suspect, and then he's still in custody, and he tells me he spent about 2, or he spent more than the 48 hours over here. And then they have reasons that will give you. Some of the reasons at the end of the day, you know, it doesn't add up. Because in principle, you know that within 48 hours, the person has to do this. You need to take the person to court or grant the suspect bail. Other times, you find out, like, in some of the abuses, like, you get to realize that what they are supposed to do with regards to cases. You know, we have civil cases and have criminal cases. But then some civil cases are criminalized. And then it leaves the person in custody. So it becomes a problem. So I wouldn't call them worst human rights, but then in reality, they do abuse.
They have their blame on its own.
Oh yes, yes. I wouldn't say to. I wouldn't want to condemn them by saying that they are the worst human rights offenders, but they do abuse the rights of suspects sometimes.
Mina, have you had any encounter with police where you think that no, they did not treat a victim or a suspect fairly?
Oh, several. Probably I hear about those things almost every day, because that's what we work on. We work on access to justice. We work on police reform. We work on police accountability. We work on issues that deal with ensuring that the police do their work in accordance with law. So severally, day in and even this morning, the taxi that brought me to work, there was an incident. so it's an everyday thing.
You know, there are sometimes people who are in Nsawam for remand, and they are normally in there for years, waiting for their case to be heard. it is one thing that I really, really feel sorry for people who get themselves caught in such unfortunate instances. There's a story where two people steal from a mines. One gets his trial and does, I think, 10 years and goes away, and the other one is still in there for 10 years, still waiting for trial. I mean, so who will speak for somebody like that?
That is what we do in a way, but because of capacity in terms of human resource, in terms of funding, it restricts the work that we do. But in such instances, it's the whole criminal justice sector. There is a problem with it because you cannot blame the police alone for that. Yes, the person might have been taken to court. The person was remanded to prison custody. It is the responsibility of the prison service to ensure that the person is kept well when he's on remand. But then when the person has to go to trial, it is the police that go for him. Now, in a situation where the policeman doesn't go and the warrant of the person expires, ideally it's for the prison service to send the person back to the police and say that the warrant has expired, so I have no business keeping that person here. Now you send it back to the police. What the police do, our experience is, in certain cases, they take them back to the court to be remanded. In some of the cases, they just take the person's documents to court, a date is given, and they bring the person back. There are people that we've spoken to, and they are like, oh, I didn't call court no crime, judge, and so buy no, or say, yes, date we na member, and it happens quite often. So it happens 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and the person ends up getting lost in the system. In certain instances, people's dockets are missing. You ask the police, and he will tell you that I sent it to the AG's department for advice. If for months or for a year he doesn't get the advice, the person is languishing in there. So it is there's no coordination among the agencies. And so it makes it difficult. And then lack of resources is also one big issue. For example, in certain instances, the police have a genuine problem. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes they do have a genuine problem. There are no cars. Let's say the suspect is in Nsawam. There are no cars, and the station is maybe Nima police station. The policeman needs to go to Nsawam to bring the suspect to court. There are no cars. He probably has to take a taxi from his pocket because it will be refunded to him later. Now, how safe is putting the person in the taxi? If in the course of bringing the person back, he absconds, it becomes your problem. So as much as the police in a lot of instances abuse people's rights, I admit that they also do have a big challenge. A big challenge. So it's the coordination. The whole criminal justice system in Ghana needs serious overhaul.
I was just going to come to that. The whole thing looks a bit too cumbersome. Yeah. And how do you weave your way through it, Derek?
How do you weave your way through it? You can't.
Wow.
You see, I think that laws are made for people to follow, okay? And then once the rules and regulations are set, it is up to those who make sure that they have to enforce the laws to make sure that people abide by those laws. But in this case, even if those who are supposed to act or make sure that the law is, being followed, are abusing it, so how do you then find a way through it? See, I think that we need to put the right measures in place. Either we need to make amendment in the law so that the measures can't just focus on the amendment. The structures too should be well known, and then the organization and institutions should be allowed to function properly. Without the function of the institutions, I don't think we have a way through it.
One thing that I've never heard, Mina, is like a court overhaul where every local vicinity would have a court high-end, probably modernized court with fax machines and telephones and modern stuff. Because I drive to Akropong, and on the left is a court, and it's literally, just a canopy, and then they all sit outside, and it's pretty medieval, It's
and you are talking about Akropong.
Yes.
So go to what name crash that you are talking about Akropong.
Yeah.
Because Akropong
it's fairly
yes,
it's a big town.
It's a big
vibrant town, up and coming
exactly.
town. Yeah, and the court is just literally an open space with a roof. And they sit outside. So as you're driving, you can see everything happening.
Even in Accra, you go to certain courts and the judges are sitting there, the whole environment in their gown, the place is hot. People passing around making all kinds of noise that can be heard in there. So the whole structure needs something. That is why Derek said you can't, because there's a backlog of cases. Cases keep being adjourned one after the other. Dockets get missing. All kinds of things. It's someone who says it's a jungle out there.
You guys are always, you deal with the court and the legal system. Is there any, sometimes at least it's in the pipeline. Is it in any pipeline to say that the courts are going to be revamped or something like that? I haven't heard anything.
Oh, I've heard it severally.
It's in the pipeline.
They are doing it bit by bit.
Okay.
Yes, because, the Supreme Court recently was renovated. Some of the high courts have been renovated. Until recently, we didn't have human rights courts. Now we do have human rights courts. So there's been some effort at revamping the courts. But like everything in Ghana, very slowly, very, very, very slowly. And probably a lot of these things are done mostly in the big cities. You don't get to...
Big cities, Derek, I was going to go to that. In Adumasa, the nearest court is St. J, and I think it's about 30, 40 kilometers. And sometimes, someone might not even have the means to travel to the court. So it's not like he wants to flout the law or anything, but it's how, he or she gets to the court. Now, have you heard any stories like that in other places?
Oh, yeah, we deal with suspects day in, day out. Let me just use Accra as an example. Okay. A suspect or the person lives at Medina, or the court in Accra Central. Okay. The person is even scrambling to find food to eat. How much more would he get money to use as a transportation fee to the court? It becomes a problem. So, the problem is there because I feel like if the state was able to provide the basic amenity for everybody to, feel comfortable, it would not happen. So the person scrambling for food to eat on the streets has a case at the court. And what he even uses as a means of transport, he doesn't have. And if you jump bail, you'll be rearrested.
He's in trouble.
Yeah. You see?
Derek, is there, I don't know what the UN rule says, but should there be a court maybe in a certain proximity of anyone, or there's nothing like that?
I don't know what the UN standards say with regards to proximity of courts, but I believe that it is up to
the town planning and the
state to make sure that the court is accessible and then they are evenly distributed. Okay, but because Medina has a few courts.
Okay.
In Medina, it has few courts. So I remember there was a time I went there, and then I met a suspect. Okay, he was due for court. But then, because the courts are free, they told me that the investigators told me that, okay, today only civil cases are going to be heard. You understand? And then the other time, criminal cases.
So then you have to wait.
You have to wait. So in that instance, the person's rights is being abused.
There's this phenomenon that I mentioned the other time, and it's a very dicey one, where you find out that most armed robbery suspects always turn up dead. And those who don't turn up dead, you know, they are standing there with a bit of plaster here and there, there and there. Presumably, they were resisting arrest. Those who were shot, presumably, they were firing back, you know, at the police. Presumably. Nobody's there. And, you know, you want to thank the police for doing a good job. You want to also throw a caution in the wind, thinking, you know, were they genuinely, you know, caught in a... You know where I'm going to.
Yes.
You know, but I don't... It's one of those cases where you don't want to go and tell the policeman who's protecting you that, you know, how are you protecting me? And then again, you want to say that, Jack, this guy could have been innocent, or, you know, so maybe he could have gone through trial. How are you guys dealing with something like that?
It's been difficult. The reality is that's the truth. It's been difficult because at the end of the day, the police doesn't have the power to determine who a criminal or like an armed robber is. It's for the courts to determine who an armed robber is. You know, fine if a policeman should meet the armed robber in the act. Even with that one, you need to cause the arrest of the person unless the person fires at you, and then you have to defend yourself. I'm not saying that if a policeman is asked to arrest an armed robber, and then he goes to see the person is firing back, he should wave a white flag and be saying that, oh, I'm here for peace, I just want to arrest you. I don't know.
Anyway, for now, they've all shot back, so we keep it as that. So we go with the ones that, you know, sometimes are plasters, and, you know, you can tell that he's a little bit roughed up, you know. So presumably they were resisting arrest and there's a minimum force. How are you guys dealing with that?
Nana, to top up what Derek was saying, it's a very, very dicey issue. And at the risk, I always say that, at the risk of being called a friend of armed robbers, because I've got some police friends who immediately I call them or they call me, the first thing that they say, oh, armed robbers, I mean, it's a joke that, but at the risk of being called a friend of the armed robbers, a lot of these instances, it's just one side of the story that we hear. If any investigations are conducted, we don't hear of the outcome of those investigations. The police are supposed to do things according to law. They have standards. They have procedures that they go through. I think that laws are there for a purpose because we know that people can abuse laws. And we are in this country where people have been shot and some policemen have claimed that they are armed robbers. And later on, we find out that it is not necessarily true. So, for purposes of accountability, I think that, and for the credibility of the police service itself, it would be a very good idea that anytime such incidences happen, at least some investigations would be conducted, people would be contacted, and then the truth comes out, and then it's made public for everybody to hear. It keeps the police credible. Nobody would say that it is a one-sided story. And then policemen will be accountable because they know that it will be investigated and something will be done about it. But here is the case. The moment you talk about, oh, the police have shot somebody, it needs to be investigated, you are tagged. That, oh, you've never, and it's the society. It is not even only the policemen, it is the society. You've never been robbed, so you don't know how it feels like. But I also turn back and say, you've not lost somebody who was innocent but labeled an armed robber. So yes, the police have a difficult task to do. They are human beings just like us. They also do have human rights. They need to protect themselves, but they should do things according to the law. And then when in instances where things happen that are not supposed to happen, let there be an investigation and come out with the findings. Transparency, open it up for everybody to see what you are doing. And I think that at the end of the day, we won't have some of the issues that are coming up.
Well, police, as we are saying, congratulations for doing a good job. We don't want to chastise you. We're just saying that just throw a little caution in the wind to make sure that.
But Nana, I don't agree with you.
Well, you are.
If they need chastising, why not? After all, we want a good police service. It is not that we hate them.
Oh, because
we love them.
No,
that's why we are chastising them.
At the moment, we don't have any proof that the guys didn't shoot back. Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's just a one-sided story.
It's just a one-sided story. So far, the guys shot back. So we go.
We are made to believe.
Anyway, Blue Rose Limited, a leading real estate developer in Africa with affordable housing, presents to you Shelter for All. With as low as 50,000 Ghana cedis, you can get a two-bedroom house from Blue Rose Limited. We are located at Budumburam, close to CAF University College. Blue Rose Limited, quality and affordable houses for all, says you can give them a call on 020-202-622, 020-029622, I beg your pardon, or 030-224-1459. We're going to go for a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to find out that if you're penniless and you need to access justice, can you go to these guys sitting next to me and will they help you? Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back. Like I said just before we went to the break, imagine you are an ordinary taxi driver, you are a hawker by the side of the road, and you are in trouble. Can you just walk into Mina's office or Derek's office and say, listen, you guys are always talking about human rights and that I'm in trouble. Can you help me? Derek, can I just walk into your office and say, listen, I boarded a taxi or a policeman took my driver's license from me and I don't think it's right, so I need help. And you say, yeah, sit down. What's your name? Where do you live? Come with me. Let's go to the police station. Is that how it works?
Our doors are always open to the general public. And then day in, there are people come in and we attend to them. Okay, we make sure that their problems are solved. It might not go so fast as they want it, but at the end of the day, we get it solved.
How many, staff-wise, how many are you?
Oh, we are not a lot. I wouldn't say, let's just say a number of about 15.
15?
Oh. That one, I don't even think we have.
We are 10.
Yes. Let's say the interns and all that. We sometimes get interns who come in and then help out. Okay. So we are not a lot. But then, the small number that we are, we try to give of our best.
Because I'm just saying you're 10, right? Mm-hmm. We have, assuming 5,000 lawyers. There's 24 million people in Ghana. Even if half of them could afford a lawyer, there's still 12 million people out there who might need your help because they can't afford it, and that's the reality.
It's very true. We get people coming in and out of our offices with all kinds of issues. What we do is, for some of them, we refer them. Maybe to, there are some of the cases it's just arbitration that they need. We refer them to legal aid. For some of them, we refer them to SHRAJ. For some of them, if, for example, it's about police abuse, we refer them to PIPS. So basically, what we try to do is, we can't do it all. We talk to you, find out how we can help, and then we follow up. We have a very good relationship with the police. I mean, with all the noise that we make, they know that we mean well. They are doing their job and we are also doing ours. So for some of them that we can help or we can liaise with the police for them to deal with the issue, we do it. We work with SHRAJ, we work with other NGOs who also offer some of these services. So if you walk through our offices and it's something that we can deal with, we will deal with it. If we need to refer you to somebody, we will try and do that. We have 1 or 2 lawyers who help pro bono. We sometimes refer cases to them, and then they also help. But like you said, there are so many people, and we are just an organization of 10 people. And even the 10 people, it's only about 4 of them who work on access to justice. The rest work on access to information, or human rights monitoring, or admin. So technically, access to justice has about 4 people. Yes, 4 people. and we have a satellite office in Kumasi where we have paralegals, about 4 of them also helping go into police stations. So it's small, but at least in our own small way, we are trying to help people that can be reached.
I mean, we were supposed to get a chap from Shiraj to come and help. He wasn't able to come. Are they helping you? Do you find, Derek, that they lending you some sort of support? Because they have some lawyers.
No. Not that I know of, no.
I go to Facebook. Nana Safo Baumia Ghana says the rate of justice is very, very slow due to our dirty-driven propaganda politics. And then Fuseni says when we are able of avoiding criticisms, then we stand all the chances of assessing proper justice. And thank you. And that's some of the comments that are appearing on Facebook. Why don't we demand it? Because it's as if we all know that the justice system is not working. So why, as a people, haven't we gone through some sort of agitation to demand that side? Because after all, the nation is all principles based on freedom and justice. So literally, it's 50% of our principles, dead in the water. And yet still, I don't feel the anger and the frustrations for it. And I feel sorry for you guys. I don't even know. What is the motivation to wake up to go to work?
Nana, when you have been able to help somebody and you see the joy on the person's face, honestly speaking, for me, yes, we all work to earn a living. But I guess I could be working somewhere where I'll be earning far, 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 far more than what I'm paid. But sometimes you help somebody and they thank you. Because this job is also a very thankless job. After you even helped somebody and then you are organizing a program, advocacy, and you need somebody to come and talk, just to come and be a witness of what the person has gone through and the benefits the person had from your organization, just to make a point, they will not come back.
Just to round up, Shiraj, do you think they've been a referee or just a backbencher? Derek?
For me, in my perception, or like that, I see them that they have a lot of limitations and they are failing to realize it because they do a lot of investigations. They don't have prosecutorial powers. So at the end of the day, we don't even see most of the things that they do, and until they fail, they're able to see that, or they're able to see their limitations. I still think that people will still see them, quote unquote, as a toothless bulldog. You don't have them.
Shiraj, a necessary institution, do you find them helpful? Have they earned their penny? Have they proven their worth for who they are? Investigate every suspicion, whatever crime, in either government or private. Anything that pops up in the paper, they should be there finding out whether it's true or not. How have you found them?
I think Shiraj should be up and doing. Yes, Shiraj has a lot of challenges. We all do have challenges. But I think that even in their own way, they could make an impact. Because it is true, they don't have prosecutorial powers. They do investigations. At the end of the day, if you send in a complaint, all they can do is ask the police to investigate and give them feedback. Or if they investigate, they can just recommend. But I think there are certain in other areas that Shiraj could be doing more than they are doing. For example, they are supposed to be an oversight agency on the police. And all the spate of police abuse, brutality, killings, I haven't heard Shiraj coming out to make any statement to that effect. The recent, Malamata issue that CHRI came out strongly, I haven't heard Shiraj say anything. If Shiraj said anything, I did not hear it. So at the end of the day, yes, they are poorly resourced. Yes, they have a lot of challenges. But CHRI, we are only 10. Shiraj is in all the regions. CHRI, as we speak, we do not have a resident lawyer. Yet we do cases. So, for me, I think that SHRAJ should be up and doing. Yes, government is not resourcing SHRAJ as it should be, but even with the little that they have, I think that SHRAJ should be up and I think SHRAJ has gone quiet and is just sitting at the back and not moving like the way they should, even in the smallest way.
Derek, CHRI, what's the next from here?
You know, we believe that as we move on, we'll be able to offer a lot of legal assistance to people. Because as my boss said, sometimes when you offer the assistance to people and you see the joy on their faces, you see. So, for instance, let me just make this then. I'll say this.
We're going to be running up, so
yes.
Yeah.
You see, I know lawyers do not want to hear about paralegals, but the police station is the entry point of criminal justice. So there are certain issues that could have been solved right away at the police station. And then when we go there, most of the things are done. We do a lot of mediation. We interact with police officers. We talk to the suspect. You know, we solve cases that if we do not go in, you know, we'll climb up. And then they become a problem to some of the family members. So I am pleading on them, appealing to the government that, you know, they should amend the law to see that paralegals are of essence. Because we are doing...
You reduce the workload that goes to the court.
Exactly.
Mina, have you got room for expansion? At the moment you're 10. I mean, do you have room for expansion?
We are a non-governmental organization. We receive funding from donors. And that in itself is a big issue because you need to write proposals for them to be able to fund you. And the funding is not coming. After all, Ghana, we say we are a middle-income country. If you are a middle-income country, would you expect to fund you? So it's become very, very difficult. There is donor fatigue because there's so much that donors can do. It's difficult to raise money from this country. We would rather use our money for other things.
Well, thank you very much,
that's
Mina.
the thing.
Unfortunately, that's all time will permit us. But what an interesting topic it is, human rights. And it's amazing, you know, what a maze it is, this connection between agencies, but we must be all up and doing. And I think you and I owe it to ourselves to really prioritize human rights, stand up and fight and demand it, because you never know when you fall on the wrong side of the law and receive the wrong kind of justice. It's been PM Express, and thank you to Mina Mensah, who's the regional coordinator for CHRI, and Derek Opoku Eduhine, who's the project officer for CHRI. Guys, thank you very much for coming to the show.
Thank you, Nana, for having us.
You're welcome. And viewers, we're back tomorrow with another intriguing conversation. You're welcome. Thank you.